Europe has had a very, very dark past, and they don't teach colonialism to their kids the way they should be teaching in schools. In the past, German chancellors have opened the borders of Germany and said, everybody come in, everybody come in. And today, they're unable to handle it. France did exactly the same thing, and these guys burnt France. These illegal immigrants will come to your country, and you will no longer be able to recognize Europe. And your grandchildren will curse you. Jai Hind, friends. I'm Major Gaurav Arya, and you're watching the Chanakya Dialogues English. Like this video, subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon. I had predicted almost a year back, and have been saying this very periodically, that the far right in Europe will rise. And along with it, not far behind, will be certain fascist forces. The Europe that you see today, a peaceful, liberal continent, wasn't like that 90 years back. Europe saw people like Adolf Hitler, like Mussolini, and even Churchill. Many of the Englishmen and people from England consider Churchill a hero. He was the person directly responsible for the famine in Bengal, in India, which killed millions. So Europe has had a very, very dark past. And they don't teach colonialism to their kids the way they should be teaching in schools. What was, the entire role of their forefathers when they came to nations like India, when they subjugated Africa, much of Asia, the depredations that they inflicted upon an entire people, killing millions of people, converting millions of people, stealing the natural resources. The European colonial powers have done all of that, and I'm also including slave trade because that was a big part of how they earned their money. Now, suddenly, after 1945, Europe, and that is after the World War II finished, a lot of countries got independence after 1945. There were dozens of countries that got independence in that 10-year period from 45 to 55. India was amongst the countries that got independence in 1947. Now, I've been saying it for a long time. What Europe has done is they went from the extreme right to the extreme left, all within a span of a couple of years or a few years at max. They suddenly became an ultra-liberal society because they had suffered badly during the Second World War. The entire Europe, was on a precipice, about to fall. So they said everybody can come in. And I'll tell you why I'm telling you this background story. Because today's episode is going to be very interesting. And what they did was, they said, okay, everybody welcome. We bleed for everybody, and we think that everybody is so good and the whole world is so nice. And a lot of it was also guilt. A lot of it was guilt. Now, what has happened is that the German president, Frank-Walter Steinmeier, he has warned against the dangers of nationalism on Monday, as he visited a World War II massacre site in France a day after European elections saw advances for the far right. This is something that I've been saying, as I said, for almost a year now. It is going to happen. The far right has to rise in Europe. And the centrist parties and the left parties will get blown away. Not everywhere it's going to rise simultaneously. It's not like, the far right is rising in France today and it's going to rise in the UK immediately. No. It's going to take decades, but the far right will rise. Why do you think it happened in France? And I said this last year, immediately after the riots. All these immigrants had come from Islamic countries and they burnt France down. And the government was unable to control the rioters. They arrested quite a lot of people, but they were simply unable to control. And a Moroccan man had been shot by the police. And he was shot by the police, and rather than filing a case on the policeman, if the policeman was wrong at that, if he was wrong, file a case. But most of these guys who do rioting, they come from countries where there is no rule of law. And it's silly of France, and I will say this on their face, though French are great friends of the Indians, it's silly for you, it's stupid for you to believe that you get a person from a dysfunctional country, and as soon as you give him French citizenship, suddenly he will become a better human being. No. This man is born and bred in chaos. He's born and bred in radical Islamism. That is all that he has seen. You see, when he comes to you put him in any environment, it's like a fish. even when a fish is out of water and it can't breathe, it's still trying to swim. Because that is the nature of the fish. It is to swim. And there is no water. And it's just flapping around because of lack of oxygen. It's still trying to swim. This had to happen, and I've been predicting it, and I've been telling all my friends in Europe that this is going to happen. And many of them said, no, this is a passing phase. And today, the German president is lamenting the rise of nationalist parties. Now, the problem with the Germans was that they saw Adolf Hitler, right? And it's difficult to find a man more evil than Adolf Hitler. Very difficult in the history of the world. I mean, a person like Adolf Hitler, that level of evil. So what Germany did was go in the other direction. Now he's saying that let us never forget the miracle of reconciliation the European Union has worked. And he says, dangers of nationalism. So apparently nationalism has now become dangerous. When did nationalism become dangerous? These are the kind of words, and these are exactly the kind of people who have put their countries in danger. You know, in the past, German chancellors have opened the borders of Germany and said, everybody come in, everybody come in. So everybody came into Germany. And today, they're unable to handle it. France did exactly the same thing, and these guys burnt France to the ground last year. It was summer last year, I believe, if I remember correctly. They burnt France to the ground. Thousands of automobiles were burned. Hundreds of buildings were burned. They burnt a church, they burnt a museum, they burnt everything. They just went on this mad rampage. And since then I've been saying that it's only a matter of time before extreme right-wing parties, borderline fascist, come to power in Europe. Because they are the people who are ready to take on these Islamists head on. And they want to take them head on. They want to take them head on. They will change the constitution. They will change the constitution because they have the numbers, or they will get numbers in 10 years, or 15 years, or 20 years, or 25 years. They will finally get the numbers because people will get sick. And people in UK now, the majority of people in UK, they're getting sick of illegal immigration. And one thing that you saw was, the Rwanda plan of the UK. Now, the government has changed. Maybe the next government that comes is more liberal, and the government says that, okay, doesn't matter. We don't want to go ahead with this because we feel everybody should be welcome. But there is a simmering layer of discontent in the UK because their way of life is being threatened, which is why the right wing in UK is now suddenly becoming one of the mainstream voices. It was never mainstream earlier. Sure, there were people who were conservatives, and there were people who were liberal, and there were people who were of other ideologies. But this extreme hardcore nationalism and right wing, it is on the rise in Europe, and it's also on the rise in UK. Now, the French President Emmanuel Macron dissolved his country's parliament and called snap elections after an EU exit poll showed a historic surge for the French far right. Macron got scared, he jumped, and he said that the EU exit poll showed there is a surge for the extreme far right, and historic surge. So Macron said that if I have a better chance of winning if I call for elections right now, and he did. But the fact of the matter is that so many other countries, this says that now the far right National Rally Party in the European Union parliamentary elections, handing a loss to Macron's pro-European centrists. And Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban's Fidesz party, in coalition with the country's Christian Democratic People's Party, has come out on top with 43.7% of the vote. And Marine Le Pen's anti-immigration Nationalist Party was estimated to get around 31 to 32% of the vote, more than double the share of Macron's Renaissance Party, which was projected to reach around 15%. So, right-wing parties are on a march across the world, and especially in Europe. And it will happen. Because I'm telling all the Europeans who are watching right now, okay? I mean, irrespective of the color of your skin, I don't care about the color of your skin. But unless you have somebody, why do all these immigrants want to come to Europe? It is essentially for a better life. Now, when many of them say that they are political refugees, some of them are telling the truth. But because you have such a strong system of lawyers in your country, it is very easy to pay money to a lawyer and hoodwink the system. So I'm not saying all immigrants are like that. Some of them are genuinely, their lives are genuinely in danger. And those are the kind of people you must support. But to open the gates of your country, your way of life will finish. These illegal immigrants will come to your countries and you will no longer be able to recognize Europe. And your grandchildren will curse you. Maybe not your children, but your grandchildren will curse you. Because the Europe, which is the center of the Judeo-Christian philosophy, even the Roman Empire, the British Empire, the Prussian states or the Prussian Empire, all these took birth within the boundaries of Europe. And what is going to happen is that by your policies of unbridled immigration into Europe without stopping, just come, everybody come, don't worry. You are grinding Europe into the dust. Friends, I just wanted to tell you what exactly has happened here today. Today, everybody is so upset in Europe that these immigrants are all over the place and they don't want to intermingle with the people and they're carrying their own culture and they have started taking offense at what we do and this is our country. Europeans, either you take action or you keep quiet. Stop complaining because you were the ones who opened the gates. And today, if these guys have come into your country, if these guys have now entered your country, it is entirely your fault because you let them in. That's all I have for you today, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you like this video. A serious video, but I wanted to tell all people in Europe, all right-minded, irrespective of the color of their skins, that there are good immigrants. Good immigrants are ones who are qualified and who are positively contributing to society. So they go to Germany, they go to UK, they go to Italy, they positively contribute towards society. They want to mix, they want to become Europeans. UK just means a free pass for state allowances. Then I'm sorry you're in the wrong country because a country has to mean much more than that. You have to have loyalty towards your country. You can't start Sharia in the country which has adopted you. You ran away from your own country because your country was not good enough. And then you settle down in a European country, let's say the UK. You settle down in UK. And then you want to implement Sharia in UK. There was this Anjum Chaudhary, completely mad, completely lunatic, radical Islamist, and Osama bin Laden's spawn type of a guy. I don't know why the UK tolerates such criminals on the pretext of free speech. And this guy is going to television studios and he's saying that at that time the Queen was alive and he said, I want to convert the Queen. I want to convert the Queen to Islam and Buckingham Palace should be made into a mosque. And the Britishers there, the white people there, they were laughing and, that's a bit of a joke, old chap. It's not a joke. It's not a joke. That man is serious. I will repeat again what I've been saying all along. There is intent and there is capability. These are two things that make any operation successful. Today, the radical Islamists in Europe have the intent. They don't have the capability. The day their numbers are large enough and serious enough, intent will meet capability. And you, my European friends, will have nowhere to run. I'm telling you this, take it as a warning, and if you can urgently make amends, do that. Otherwise, you will be kicked out of your homes. Thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen. And if you like this video, press the like button, subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to press the bell icon. Jai Hind, Vande Mataram, Bharat Mata Ki Jai.